Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my 2024 reading journal setup. I started my reading journal 2 years ago in July, and so this is my third reading journal, but second full year of reading journaling, if you can call it that. This year I decided to go full scrapbook style theme, which I've seen a lot of people do. I was definitely inspired a lot by Plant-Based Bride here on YouTube, and you can see, especially in my Goodreads tracker spread later, there's a lot of kind of inspiration, and the spread looks very reminiscent of hers, so I'll link her channel down below, and you can go check it out if you would like. Right now I'm making the index because this year, even though I bought the same journal as last year, they took out the index in the journal, which I really liked for my reading journal so I can see where all my books are. So I added my own, and hopefully it fits because I made 3 pages instead of 4 last year, and I did need 4 this year, so if I really need to, I'll just make a new one in the middle of the journal. As you can see, I'm using these stamps to stamp the title. I use these a lot, but they are just from the dollar store, so I can't link them below, but just go to your local Dollarama and maybe they'll be there. I did have to go over it with a micron pen because the ink wasn't as kind of strong as I would have liked. Now we're moving on to my cover page, where I use the sticker that my sister gave me, the same as my bullet journal setup this year. If you haven't seen that, it will be linked in the description. And then the other side is my goals page. I made these letters that I cut out by drawing on black paper with a Jelly Roll white pen, and then I cut them out and pasted them on with some glue. And that's my cover page. It's pretty simple, but my goals page made up for that, as you'll see later. I glued down these lined index cards to this black piece of paper that I cut out, and then I glued that whole thing on top of, well, first I wrote down all my goals. I used this tombow to make some circles where the goals would be. I made 6, and I did have 6 written down, but I wasn't really sure about the last one, so I only wrote down 5, and then I might add that one, or I'll add a different one later. And then I glued it down onto the page. With some ripped out book pages behind it, and my theme is very black and white, and then kind of some cream with the book pages, and another book-like paper that you'll see later, because I wanted to be using kind of a very neutral palette, because I always use a bunch of color. And this year I wanted to start out with a very neutral looking journal, and then in the months I'll add some color. But I do want to do like a very kind of scrapbook vibe for this whole year. So hopefully I can stay motivated to do that. Then I used my stamps to make a heading, and that was the end of the first spread. Now we're moving on to my Goodreads challenge. My goal this year is 104 books, same as last year, 2023. I met that goal, and I ended up reading 109 books if I read one more, which I don't think I'll do, but maybe I will have read 110. So I made 112 spaces in this spread, and then in my books read spread, which is the next spread. So I have enough room for a lot of books next year, and hopefully I can meet my goal next year as well. This is the other paper that I meant, and then I did have to re-sketch out some of the squares because I put paper over them and I kind of still needed to see where they were. I cut off some of the shavings, not the shavings, the like the crossover, the hangover, I don't know what it's called, the paper that was outside of the edges, and then I went back in and started doing all the little squares, which took a long time, but whatever. For the heading, I wrote with my Jelly Roll Goodreads challenge on a black piece of paper, and then I cut those out and pasted them at the top. The little star there is a marker for my 104th book, and that was the end of my Goodreads challenge spread, and now we're on to my books read spread. I will be tracking this instead of with a bookshelf with mini book covers, and I'm going to print those out using my Canon Ivy mini printer, and then underneath I'm going to do a little star rating because I'd really like to see kind of the trend, but I did make a lot of pages of these because I needed 112, same as my Goodreads challenge. I cut these book, I don't even know what it is, like, anyway, you like punch a letter through a little sheet and then it makes an imprint and you can like read the word. I don't not know what it's called. I'll put it on the screen. But I put a little background of the book pages and then I stuck those down as heading. And I only did that on the first page because after the first page, I know what it is. And I mean, I know what it is anyway, but I do like having a heading. So that's my 7 pages of book pictures. And then I used this black piece of paper and I wrote my physical TBR on it with my jelly roll. And then behind it, I put some plain paper from that book. And then that was the heading for my physical TBR page, which I'm going to use to track how many books on my physical TBR I read. My goal next year is to read 12, including 6 classics that you'll see later on my 24 books in 2024, plus my 6 classics that I want to read. But this spread is pretty simple. I'll just write down the title, the dates that I read it, and the rating I gave it. And hopefully I have enough spaces because I have a lot of unread books. And I'm definitely going to attain more because I got a lot of Christmas money, and I will be probably spending at least most of it on books. I decided to use the stamps again, and I used those for the headings of each category. And then I had to go over it again with the micron. I had to do that almost every time I use the stamps. So I guess that's the downfall with dollar store stamps. Next we're on to my 2024 or 24 in 2024. I am using book covers again, but I already printed those out, which is why I'm recording this at like literally 8:30 p.m. And editing it at 9:30 p.m. because I had to take a little break to print out all the book covers because I forgot. And I was at my friend's house for most of the day, which was fun. And I don't regret doing that, but maybe I do a little bit now. And then at the bottom there is the 6 classics. And for that title, I just cut out some of that book paper and then stamped 6 classics on it. For the title of my 24 in 2024, I put a little background of that book paper that I ripped out from the book, which I just got at the thrift store, in this book that I didn't want to read. And then I wrote 24 in 2024 on a note card. And then I started cutting out my classics, and as you can see, I placed them on the page. I just printed 4 out on each little sheet of paper. But you can see I want to read a couple of Jane Austens, and then an Oscar Wilde, and then Sylvia Plath, and I believe the last one is Jane Eyre, so Charlotte Bronte. And all those 6 classics I own, so those would also be half of the physical TBR books that I want to read. And then, as you can see, I put down all my 24 books in 2024. And I'm not sure if you can see all the covers, but they're all kind of like popular books or books that I've wanted to read for a while that I've been putting off. but usually they're like kind of popular books from the last couple of years that I never got around to reading, and then I want to try them out and see how I like them. And then there's obviously a couple little fun ones in there, and then I do try and put in some from genres I don't normally read, so I put in the 7-Year Slip, I put in Icebreaker, and I put in The Love Hypothesis because I don't normally read romance books. I find them a little silly, and you never know though, so put a couple in my 24 books. So hopefully I will get to those next year. Moving on, we have my series tracker and duologies tracker. Last year I just had a series tracker and I noticed it was getting pretty clogged with duologies, so I did some separate ones. But I just like to track how many books in each series that I'm currently reading I've read. That didn't really make sense, but whatever. And then this helps me keep track of books, so I don't just keep starting series. My goal is kind of just to fill these 1 pages with duologies and series, so hopefully I can get that. For the headings of these, I just used some of the book pages. I did have to rip out a new page, but now I have a bunch. And then I stamped on the word series and duologies because I didn't think I could fit the full thing if I stamped it out. Now we're on to my second last page of spreads. This is my anticipated releases and books bought. I like to keep my books bought to 1 page, hopefully, so that's that. And I do like to keep track of where I buy them mostly from. Usually it's the thrift store. And then for anticipated releases, there's just like some books that are releasing next year that I want to keep track of, so I remember to either buy them or put them on hold once they come out. And a couple that I'm excited for are the 3rd book in The Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi. I think Heartstopper 6 might come out next year, I'm not sure. And then I'm also really excited for the 2nd Iron Widow book. And I think there's a new Sangamandana book who wrote the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And I really enjoyed that last year, so I'm looking to pick out her next book as well. And maybe from my 24 books in 2024, there'll be some more books that I want to pick up that are anticipated releases, so I have a full page for this. For the headings, I just used that punch thing again, and then I wrote all the headings for the tracker, which is just for anticipated releases, title, author, release date, and if I bought it. And then books bought, I put title, author, the date I read it, I believe, or maybe the date I bought it, and then where I bought it from. And then this last spread is my monthly favorites. So each month has a box, and I'm going to put the book cover, the name, the author's name, and then what I rated it. Usually it's 5 stars, but sometimes I didn't have any 5 stars that month, so then it's probably a 4-star or 4.5. But for the titles of these, I just wrote monthly faves on a book, like one of the book pages, and then I put some black paper behind it because I realized I hadn't used black for a long time. And then I used this light gray tombow pen to divide the sections, and then I wrote all the month names in cursive with my micron. And now it's time for a final flip through. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you in my next video, which is my Christmas haul coming out on Saturday. Or not Saturday, Sunday. Again, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!